Welcome, everybody, to another edition of ASA's podcast series. This time we're doing a video podcast, and I'm here with three of the most positive people I know. We've got Jeff Buckley, lower left-hand corner, the owner of My Father's Shop in Midlothian, Texas. We've got Frank Leutz, lower right-hand corner, owner of Desert Car Care in Chandler, Arizona. And we've got Vinnie Lucido, upper left-hand corner, the co-owner of Co Auto LLC in Reno, Nevada. Gentlemen, thanks and welcome to the show.
Glad to be here.
Thank you.
Yeah, great. One of the things we really wanted to do, everybody's been hearing so much about what we're going through on the COVID-19 thing. And I, like a few people I know, are a bit COVID'd out, but we really wanted to have a conversation with some very positive shop owners to talk about some of the good stuff that we're finding in all this. In every crisis, there are rays of sunshine. And these type of times tend to bring out the best in people, particularly the best in Americans. And I wanted to just have a short conversation with the three of you to talk a little bit about some of the things that you're doing to keep up morale in the shop, and reach out to your communities. And I know all three of you have done that. And some are actually you guys are great at it. So without further ado, what I'd like to begin with is, first of all, let's get a health check on what everybody's doing. Vinny, I'll start with you. How's business in your area?
Business has been pretty well. We were down just a few $1,000s over our normal April. So for the month of April, surprisingly, we did well. And I think that's because of some of our outreach programs. Certainly it was, because without those, I know our schedule would have been a little slimmer. But overall, people are still coming in, and we've been doing good. And my team's been staying positive, and we're working right through it. So this has been great. We've actually grown, and now we're looking into doing, and already have ordered, new lights to put up. And we've expanded our building and putting in, we're going to be painting the floors and getting rid of our old airlines and putting in new airlines. So ultimately, we've been more productive this month than I think we would have without the pandemic, which is odd.
Yeah, that is odd. And you and I spoke last time. You said you had to lay one of your people off, but you've kept all the others employed, I take it?
Yes, so we laid off 2 people, and it was in fact actually a good move in the right timing, how it works sometimes. And unfortunately, there were 2 of our staff members that just weren't fitting the team culture as much as we wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
So ultimately, it was needed, and it just happened to happen during this time. And it was kind of a good scapegoat, I guess you could say, but all positive. Everybody's really happy now, and kind of happy we moved forward. So.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Jeff, come down to you. You're a one-man shop, and so I imagine morale's not much of a problem for you. You're always in a good mood, near as I can tell. But how's business on your end? You're in Midlothian, Texas, a little bit on the rural side. So how's this been for you?
Well, then it's really been great. When you say a one-man shop, it's really 2 people with Candace, and she takes care of everything, and I just work here. And I'm just, we've been really blessed, and I'm just amazed at the, it's you worry about it a little bit, but for the year we're up probably about $22,000. I was just amazed at March, because it was like, oh my gosh, we're not slowing down. We were busy, and it was turning into bigger jobs. Folks were doing stuff that they might have been putting off, or they're like, hey, this is a great time. I'm not driving the car, and go ahead and work on that. And March, I was probably up about 13,000. And, for a small, like you said, one-man shop, that's quite a bit.
Yeah.
And April, we ended up about $6,000 or $7,000 over, and that's over last year. And, we were quite busy. And so it's just been amazing. It's been a little bit of a different type of busy, where normally we're swamped, and we work mostly, we schedule in by appointments, and then we'll have a room for a little bit of fill-ins and oil changes, services first thing in the morning. But where we'd get stacked up, and then it would be like, oh my gosh, and it was like it leveled out a little bit more, where it was just a smooth constant. And like right now, we're booking. I think she was booking for May the 18th right now. And
Hmm.
so it's a great deal. It's just a blessing. And a lot of it depends on the area that you're in and your demographics and what's around you. And then again, how you're marketing and how you're reaching out. And so that's just something that everybody should be doing all the time.
Hmm.
And now I think it's just really coming up that, hey, that's really an important thing to be doing.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about marketing as we move forward. Vinny, I'll get to you in a minute. Frank, how are things in Chandler? Yeah.
Well, I just got to say, I had to recognize Mr. Midlothian here. I've seen his biceps growing, his neck muscles popping. He must be busy, and he's probably one of the best. I wish I knew him when I was a one-man show, early 90s. He probably gets it done better than most. So kudos to you, Jeff.
Thank you, Frank.
As far as Chandler, you guys know I went through. I had heart surgery, and I was gone. And things were great. I get back, they get on out of here. But in all reality, we had an amazing March. I was gone for the month. Team really stepped up, and they just do what they do. April, the first week, I was planning. You got to remember, I was involved back in September 11th in business and 08 and all this, and there's always opportunity, but I talked to a lot of shop owners, and if the gross sales was off a little bit, guess what happened? Net went up because we opened our eyes and said, holy cow, we're overspending here. So we did pretty good. To answer your question specifically, we were off year over year for the month of March. Not by much. I think it was maybe 8%, but we are included in that, holy cow, we're overspending over here. And it was just time to clean house. I did keep my people. In fact, I hired another guy.
Wow.
Obviously, we're in our season now, summer season, and hopefully he's going to stick with us, a great certified technician. And, we mentor students for the last so many years. I had to let them go, and I felt bad, but, we pay these kids to come in and learn. And so, but that's about it. So we can't complain. If you are a restaurant owner right now, we'd be drinking as we speak on this Zoom right now.
Typical. Vinny, you want to take a shot at Jeff? Go ahead.
Oh, I was just raising my hand to, give Jeff some time there. Yeah, I'm all good. You continue, Tony.
That's fine. Well, one of the things, you all take care of your people. And this is one of those times when really, as an essential business, there's a lot that we do that most people never realize. Keeping us kind of moving, making sure our vehicles are reliable is something that is really important, especially in times like these. But all of you also reach out to the community. I know, Jeff, you do a number of things on all the time with your videos showing customers how to take care of their vehicles. Vinny, you've got the art show. You guys have always been doing community reach out. Frank, what can I say? Between the radio show, all your TV appearances, you're out and about pretty much everywhere. What I wanted to do is ask you, how have you either changed what you're doing or done more of it to reach out to your communities in this particular situation? Jeff, you had mentioned, marketing is more important than ever. Absolutely true. And how do you turn your community outreach and incorporate a kind of a marketing bend into that to make sure that people know that you're open for business and you're there to help them?
Well, and that's kind of the big deal is to getting your name out and letting people know that you're open. You'd be really surprised how many calls and messages we got that, hey, are you guys open? Are you guys still working on cars? The first thing that I wanted to start out with was to give a shout out to the association. And I really want to let folks know, all of the ones in the automotive industry, that right now is the time to thank your associations, to thank them that you're considered an essential business, because it was the associations that went to bat for us and went to the government and said, hey, we need to include them in essential businesses so that we could still stay open. So that we're not like the bar owners, we're not like the restaurants that were, that everybody be drinking right now because it's like, that's what you got in stock. but it's a great time to understand that the association, this is one of your member benefits, is that y'all are speaking for us, y'all are talking for us. There's the second thing is when you see that there's a value in networking, training, and marketing. And so when we talk about marketing, it's like, okay, how do we get our name out there, and how do you promote your community? The biggest thing that you need to remember is the community is who supports you. That's where your business comes from. So now is the time that we should be supporting our community. And how do you do that? Well, you reach out. You would just be amazed that I'm on the chamber board, and the chamber was like, okay, we need to do this. But people were actually calling me, not as a chamber board member, but as a shop owner and as a community advocate, saying, Jeff, my business is dying. Jeff, I expanded just a while back. We just bought our building, and now all of a sudden everything's died. I'm worried I'm going to lose everything. What do we do? And it's like, you start brainstorming, you start giving them ideas. I was actually giving out ideas to other businesses, looking at what they do and saying, hey, let's see what we can do to help. I know Vinnie and all the rest of the industry was doing a lot of things on giving away oil changes to the healthcare workers. But one of my ideas was, it was a sign shop. And I said, hey, we actually designed up a sign that said, thank you, first responders and healthcare workers. And I said, I'll buy some of those that we can put out and we'll give away. And now we'll promote this to get the community. Hey, let's get the community behind this idea to say thank you to the first responders and healthcare workers. They'll buy some signs that'll help that sign business, and it kind of gets the ball rolling. When you talk about the restaurants and to go, then these guys are dying, and they're like, hey, we need some people to know and to go. And so you say, well, I'm going to go buy lunch for the shop down at this local restaurant. Now that's great. It buys lunch and it helps that restaurant, but it doesn't give your name out. So while you're buying lunch, go ahead and buy a couple gift certificates, and then you can give those away. You put them on your Facebook, or you do a promotion or a contest. Hey, come in for oil change, and we'll have a drawing for a gift certificate to the local restaurant. Or in our case, we just have contests. We say, okay, comment, and we'll come up with something. Comment Howdy Midlothian, or this week we're doing Teachers Appreciation. And so, and some of this will work and some of it won't. It depends on your area. We did the one for the healthcare workers, and we gave away the signs, and we gave away lunches and gift certificates, and we didn't have very much participation at all. And we did Teachers Appreciation, and it's going on this week, and we had over 200 teachers nominated. And that was like, oh my gosh. And so the teachers that are coming in, when we do the drawing and they win, all of a sudden they're like, oh my gosh, thank you. You just see the gratitude in their faces. The other part of that is, I think the parents are appreciating teachers a little bit more.
Yeah.
Jeff.
And I see Frank, Frank does the teachers deal every year.
I voted for you. How can you didn't win? You're the mayor of Midlothian. I don't even know that you're a garage owner.
Yeah.
The Midlothian Man of the Year.
The whole thing is everything you do for the community is to get your name out there. It's not saying, hey, come do an oil change with me. Hey, come, let me do your tune-up. It's putting your name out there, and you're promoting the community. By promoting the community, you're getting your name out there. So you're not being like a slap in your face, that oh my gosh, this is the only reason I'm doing it, it's to get you into my shop. Yeah. The side effect is they'll see the name of your shop, they'll see you, they'll come to your shop.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you, and Vinnie, when you and I were talking, you had said you were reaching out to the local community as well. I think you had mentioned that you were working with like a couple of local restaurants and stuff, buying just to support them. Time. Yeah.
Oh my God. So we've been doing a lot with restaurants, and I just to back up a little bit, just to give some ideas. I love sharing my ideas because I want other people to copy them. I want you guys to use these. ever since we opened, we've been doing 5 programs for our community. You mentioned the local artwork. We rotate that out.
Mhm.
We don't take commissions from the sales.
Yep.
Simply gives exposure to artists. We do a high school internship program. Obvious what that is. We do veteran car giveaways where we give cars to local veterans in need. We have a reverse your carbon footprint. So every oil service we perform, we have a tree planted in your honor through the Arbor Day Foundation.
Wow.
And all these things are just ways to attract another client. And when I'm talking to my clients, I simply I'll run through these, and when I see interest in their eyes, I'll talk more about that one. But they all help bring interest. Some of the new programs that we have, we've been providing crew lunches for locally restaurants, any local restaurant that we can pick. We're choosing new ones every day.
Mhm.
But before, we'd have our hour lunch and everybody would go away. And now that is one of the biggest morale boosters we have, is having lunch together every day. Now, if a crew member wants to go home, fine, that's great. We're not buying your lunch, but if they stay in, we're spending nearly $100 to $150 a day on our crew lunches. And it's something we're going to continue to do for as long as we can. So that's supporting local restaurants. And every time we do that, we share a photo, and I'll put it on Instagram, and it'll look something like this. It's just got the date. It's a thank you to the local restaurant, and makes it fun. And that goes on our Instagram story. And people love seeing that. I'm not looking to see a return and somebody say, hey, I saw that you guys went to Archie's this week. That's awesome. I want to get my car fixed. No, it's simply to build positive energy around your business.
Mhm.
And that's what we do. And so it's hard for me to kind of determine what's working, what's not. I just keep doing what I feel is right. So our other program is a referral program with restaurants. And it's our favorite restaurant. It's a restaurant that caters to all diet types. And every time you refer a new client to Co-Auto, we give you and your referral $20 to the Grateful Gardens, which is the restaurant. And that helps support our restaurant. So I buy probably $400 to $500 in gift cards a month.
Mm.
And Grateful Gardens was booming. They were a restaurant that was climbing to the sky, and they've got 5 open now. He's been open for about 7 years. One of my dear friends, and this happened, and like you said, he probably started drinking more. But things like this help him out. And another thing we did is we opened an account with the Food Bank of Northern Nevada, just to offer. I sent it out as a email to my clients, and I'm going to be sharing it on Facebook and yet. But the idea is to help the Food Bank of Northern Nevada, and they are feeding people in Northern Nevada. Beyond that, I just opened a Cisco account. Everybody knows Cisco Foods, more or less. They're a large national company. Well, they're making these bags for us. It's going to have 2 rolls of toilet paper, 4 rolls of paper towels, some water, the essentials that a lot of people need. And we're simply going to be giving those to people that need them. And they can come pick them up at our shop. If we can deliver them, we will. Having the manpower for that's difficult, but just creating more buzz about how we're reaching out, because people are going to remember that you were there, that you were reaching out, and you were a stronghold in the community during the hard times.
Mm.
It's not trying to get business now today. It's trying to build awareness about your brand and the people within it and your culture and the genuosity that you are. And so those are some of the things we've been doing. Another thing is, we did the medical pros, any first responder, first line workers. We're doing free oil services for. We're going to do nearly 100 of those, which
Wow.
brings about $10,000 into giving back to the community. But the best part about that is we're getting a partnership with WorldPack. They're helping with some of our oil filters.
Mm.
Our oil company's helping with some of the oil. It's not all out of pocket, but the buzz that has created within that hospital or all the hospitals locally has been phenomenal. We're getting reviews up the yin yang, and people are like, one of my reviews, helpful, courteous staff. The concierge service was amazing. My vehicle issues were diagnosed and repaired quickly. Thanks for staying open during the pandemic and providing great service. Things like that. And people are going to see that for ages. They're going to read through those reviews, see that you were open, see that you were still taking care of your clients then, and that you can only do better now. And so, yeah, it's been amazing. With the Cisco partnership, I have staff members. I asked if they would support and buy one of these essential caretakers bags. Now it's going to cost me $10 per bag. I invested $500 to start, so I'm going to have 50 essential bags to give out. And then I have 10 that my staff members chose to buy. So that means the staff is supporting. And to me, that's another avenue to spread good, positive energy on social media. That's what this is about, spreading positive energy, positive love, helping out. And the staff is supporting that. And so it's just a great initiative. I'm really excited about that program. But
well, you should be. It sounds great. Frank, you've been out in the community forever. Wrench Nation, obviously you're the host of Wrench Nation. I see you on the local broadcast television stations all the time. How have you leveraged that during this time to, as everyone else has said, kind of reach out to the community? What are you doing to support the folks in your local area?
You know what I'd like to do, I will discuss that. It complements everything that Jeff and Vinnie has just talked about. You know, Tony, if I can just tell you what you shouldn't do. You got to remember, I came from a time doing everything bad pre-September 11th. And I will just say this, for those of you that are watching, if you're going to slash your marketing, if you're a big shot spending 2% of your budget for marketing, that's rough. Now you can ground and pound and you can get out there with the megaphone and you can do a lot of organic, smart, bright things to connect with your community. The list is on and on. You can email me and I'll send you hundreds of things that we've done over the years. But one thing you don't want to do is get desperate. Listen, fear and greed. Let's step away from this automotive scene. Fear and greed. You know, a lot of us were fat. Credit lines were paid off. Everything was good. And then here comes the COVID situ Wuhan craziness. Never seen before. And what happens? We're leaders, but we get nervous because we're dealing with money and people. That's the bottom line. And so what I say to a lot of younger operators, don't do the mistake I made in the mid-90s. You get whacked out, you cut out over here. In other words, you may lay off a few people and say, well, I'm going to put out coupons. I'm going to do loss leaders up to the yin-yang. That's not going to get you anywhere. Do you know why? Because you're not selling value. And I like the idea that Vinny's talking about, and certainly Jeff, and forgive the fly. I got a friend of mine in here hanging out. The fact is, don't forget you had a base. They'll come back, because what could happen is you start developing the wrong client base. Now you're spending your time there. So the cause-related, charitable, this is what our industry is about anyway. We just figured out how to get it out. We're all loving and giving. We know this, but now we can be front and center in more ways than anything, and I think that's key. So some of the things I will tell you, we've been doing this for years. I don't advertise automotive too much, honestly. I want to get my good-looking guys and gals. You know, I want to promote the industry. And so when you asked me about branding 7 years ago, I said, listen, I'm not Coca-Cola. I'm not Dr. Pepper. I need cars now in my bay. So I would say to those of you that are listening, now's the time to get great deals on branding your business. So if you're going to be front and center and you know your budget and you want to do a billboard or you want to do a bus stop or you want to pay for branding, which just really speaks on your people, your culture, they already know you can kill it in the service bay. They see your reviews for the most part. That's working for you. But that's what I would say. Don't fall into the trap of desperation and say, you know what? I'm going to do 100,000 coupons with such a loss leader, and I'm going to really make it sweet, and I'm going to do something really tacky regarding COVID. I mean, this is not what people remember that. Remember, this is like impressionable. They remember when Vinny gives the packages. They remember when Buckley has done some amazing things by promoting other businesses. It doesn't have to be rocket science. Your business, this is it. Now take an opportunity, because prior What did we do? We pounded our chest. I got coupons. Remember that? Well, 0.2%. Well, my shop got 0.5% of those returns. No, brand business by cause related. Get those food trucks to your joint. Get those coffee trucks to your joint. Do the very thing that Vinny's doing by way of cause related. We got a ton of things that we do. And currently, I will tell you, we've seen success with it. In fact, I have to be careful. I don't want to fill my pipeline with the wrong type of clientele. And you guys can respect that, especially you, Jeff, because you're a one-man show. And a lot of you guys listening, be very careful. But now we've got something. We're doing, let us buy your remainder year of full synthetic premium. We want to get so much food out to AZ Send, our good city council friend, Trinity Donovan out of Chandler. We do a lot of work with the council and the mayor and the chief of police. We just want to do what we've been doing, but we want to uptick it. We're going to get food. There are people that can't eat now more so than ever.
Yeah.
So people, don't reinvent the wheel. You have a business. You're in business for a reason. It's not perfect. People, it's like having children. You're either going to come together or you're going to go apart. That's what's happening right now. Get together with your business. You just had the birth of COVID. Not the greatest name, but embrace that because that's opportunity. That's how I look at it.
Yeah. Well, that's a great.
Amen.
Yeah, great attitude. Great attitude. I can identify with the children analogy, although my wife doesn't like me talking to our children. She thinks I'm a bad influence, but that's a whole nother story. Jeff, you were going to say something. I saw you jumping up and down there. What's up?
Well, you know, if you go back and look at it, Frank is the original one for supporting teachers. Frank's been doing that every year at back to school, and it didn't have to do with anything else except Frank's love for the teachers. And that's the deal that you're trying to show is you're not trying to show that you're doing something for your business. You're trying to show that you're doing for others.
That's right.
On his show, a lot of times he'll do the deals with the animals. And Vinny's mentioning with the trees. And so you have to look into your demographics, into your area around your marketing and say, okay, what is it that affects these people? What are these people concerned with? What is it that it, you know, brings the joy to their hearts? And that's what the deals that you can get involved with. But then again, just like Frank says, you don't want to reinvent the wheel. Is there's so many folks out here, and I see it in our area a lot, is they go, oh my gosh, I want to give food, you know, to the hungry people. And it's like, okay, there's organizations that are doing that right now. There's groups that have been doing this for years. There's groups, and we work a whole lot with the local nonprofits. And just like Vinny said, he went to the Nevada North Food Bank
Northern,
and said, let's help them. Okay, now you're getting involved with someone that's already doing it. Okay, it's not let's reinvent the wheel. Let's come up with this ourselves. Let's make this a program about us doing it. It's let's join in with another one. That's all part of your branding. That's part of showing what it is that you do. It's not all about, okay, let's get those cars in. The other thing, as Frank is saying, and I really have to push on that point, is your customers. You choose your customers. You choose what you do and what you don't do. In other words, if we're looking at being profitable at making money, there's jobs that we don't do. I don't do engine work anymore, and I don't do transmissions, but we work with shops that do. And so we'll refer those over to those other shops. But you have to look at it at what makes a profit for you. A lot of folks are so big, they're like, oh, I got to take in everything that comes through the door. I got to say yes to everything. There's jobs that's going to cost you. And so just like you don't want to put out all those coupons and get a certain type of customer in your shop, you have to remember that with your marketing and with your networking. And then one of the things that I mentioned, and Vinny, it's great to hear you say that your group is sitting there at lunchtime. Back in December, I had a meeting with Tony, and I say, Tony, we need to do these training deals at lunchtime, and we'll call them Lunch and Learn. And Vinny sees the advantage of having your guys there. Now turn on one of these training deals, because all these guys are sitting at home and they can't travel, and you're going, hey, let's do a training class. And you're like, okay, let's flip it on the big screen and let our guys watch it. This is a great time to do that and to learn some of that. And then when you start doing it, we're going to get you interested in all of that. And now we want you to start networking with the ASA groups. Frank went to Apex the first time this past year. And it's like, that's a great thing to start putting on your schedule.
Yeah. Yep. Well, Vinnie, I got to tell you, one of the things that impressed me when we spoke earlier was the fact that you had said one of the things you were doing on the last podcast was to just call your customers, not to sell them anything, just to call them and say, how are you doing? Are you okay? And those type of impressions, everything that you had mentioned, everything Jeff's mentioned, and what Frank was talking about, makes an impression. And it's always been about a relationship. We are in a relationship business.
Yes. Exactly.
That's what, and I hear you on, wanting to make sure that you have the right type of customer, just like the customer's looking for the right repair shop for them. It's a two-way street. But what have been some of the reactions to your customers during this time? Vinny, for example, you had mentioned, didn't one of your customers drop off a case of Corona? I think, was that it?
Yeah. 2 12 boxes equals a case, right?
Yeah, that's about it.
So she brought in 2 12 packs, and she was a nurse, and she was so happy with us. She wanted to tip us, and we said, look, keep your money. We're doing this for you. She was one of our clients already. But she was just so excited, so thrilled that she returned, and she had, 2 cases of Corona here. And so I made fun out of it. It's like, April, free oil services for medical professionals. And then, Jenny returns a favor by giving us a case of Corona. So there's a case of Corona, right? So there's a little bit of humor there. And that's what I live by. It's 2 things, relationships and humor.
Yeah.
Those 2 things have grown my business, our business, Anthony and I's, tenfold. I'm still in the Reno Rotary Club, and our club is incredible. And those people Rotarians are amazing people. So if you're listening and you're not involved in Rotary or the Lions Club or something of that nature, get involved. I was in the club for maybe a year and a half, 2 years before I really started seeing a return, because you're building a relationship. And now those people go nowhere else. We have 200 people in my club and 100 active members and that are showing up to every meeting. And, we're still doing meetings on Facebook or Zoom and such. So, I'm in a BNI group. These groups allow you to build relationships, and that's what's helped our business grow immensely. We give away a lot of referral cards because we're building relationships and, sending either texts out or emails or straight calling people and letting them know that we're here to help. I wasn't trying to sell them. I'm simply saying, look, if you guys need anything, please reach out. If it's transportation, if you need us to pick up groceries for some elderly, if you need anything, if your car's broke down in your driveway, let us know. We're here to help. And once again, it's not to bring a lot of cars in. It's simply to get the word out that Co-Auto is a brand that stood strong during these times and reached out. We used free media. We used the news. I called the news, and I have a gal that gets me on the news when it comes to when we did the nurse program, the caretaker's car care program is what we called it. I was on 4 different news stations in a week, and I had so much hit, so many people calling it, hey, I saw you on the news. I saw you on the news, which is amazing. But think about the people that didn't come in, didn't call, that aren't nurses, that aren't in the medical profession. That still impacted them. That still might be burnt in their mind that, wow, I remember that. And, I'm told all the time that, oh, Co-Auto, I heard about you guys. I saw you on the news, and I've never met these people in my life, but they already have a relationship built. That trust is already built. So really relationships is really important.
Yeah. And I couldn't agree more. And what you said about being on the local news, Frank, that's something you do on a regular basis. I imagine it was helping your business before. Have you been doing maybe even more of it now during the crisis?
Oh man, this was just therapy for me. In all reality, absolutely. I taught a class at Ratchet and Ranch, and one of the things I said is, listen, don't be afraid. The one-hit deals are great. You may see, 2 or 3 relevant news to the time, what local shop is doing, but people get scared when you hear publicist. Hire yourself a publicist. I guarantee you it's in your budget, and if not, raise your labor rate, because those are the people that will always keep you connected. In terms of news in our segment, of course, the studio went in lockdown, so it's been kind of dormant. I deal with a lot of the reporters, and yes, we've had the COVID, how to protect your car stories. When that comes back, it's really edutainment, man. It's telling the story. I think the consumer's way too bright, too hip, and don't have the attention. Remember that.
Yeah.
So when you do an Instagram story, of course, Jeff and Vinny do an awesome job. Tell the story of your shop. And I guarantee you 60, 70% of the time, it ain't nothing to do with fixing with cars. I mean, really, look at that beautiful graffiti piece. I love it. I mean, I grew up in the Bronx, in Manhattan, with graffiti. I was a B-boy DJing and all that. And you got to, I want to come to your place and check out that graffiti. But that connected with me. And I think today's consumer, it's a me economy. A me economy. I want to be a participant in how you run your business.
Yeah.
I want to have a say. And so that mindset mentality, look, it's very avant-garde right now, because I feel this will propel this. Look, any downturn you have, there's so much opportunity. It's bananas. It's here, it's mindset. And yeah, it's a little painful, but pain breeds reality. Pain breeds all of those things that, man, I was going to do this before. But can I talk about the toilet issue I've got on an Instagram story? Or as Vinny said, is it tasteless to go Corona during Corona? No, you keep a balance. And I'll remind you guys listening, stop planning all your social media. The best social media comes from spirit. It's in the moment. Now you can have Hootsuite and plan calendar, whatever, but a lot of times it's in the moment. And there's something about that connection. It's a vibe. I don't have the answer to it, okay? But the real and raw right then, there, boom, get it up. And then second, I would say, I don't see a lot of this in industry. It's one thing to look at ourselves, do what we do. We're doing commendable things. Our people love it. We love it. We feel good. But measure that son of a gun. In other words, we only have so much time in a day. So Vinny, he's going to put a bit.ly. He wants to track how this did. Facebook. Hey, we had a great deal with our gentleman from ATI recently. Came on, and forgive me not remembering names. He came up with a boatload of behind-the-scenes skeletal structure of measuring. Because guess what, man? I'm not Kim Kardashian. I don't have OJ. So I'm not talking with OJ right now. Maybe that's a bad example. But I'm just saying our time is precious. Measure everything. It's key, because what do we want to do? We want to focus our monies and effort to where we're reaping what we want. I don't want a car. I want the type of car that's going to sustain me paying people well, me having fun with my business, because that's why I went into business, and be profitable. Measure it.
Yeah, that's what's very important. And Jeff, you do more outreach on a daily basis than probably most of us here, given your broadcast from your father's shop. How long have you been doing those little Facebook podcasts that you do?
Well, that it's funny, because that was one of the things that I thought about is, I've probably been doing them maybe 4 years. I really started the push after I came back and I did that commercial with Mike Rowe. And the big deal was I didn't always used to share deals. Part of the reason was the attitude in the industry was you had guys that always thought, hey, I'm better. Hey, I know this. Hey, I'm the expert. And they, if somebody else had an idea and shared it, they didn't want to necessarily shine. They wanted to rain on your parade. And so, if somebody needed to know some information or something, I would private message them, or I would, make a phone call, or I would share and tell them my opinion that way. I've seen so much of the industry reaching out, all the different forums and stuff that they've put me on, where these guys have said, hey, we value your opinion. That means a lot to me because, I'm just a little guy here in Midlothian, Texas. We started in the county out here, and with barely a single lane road and a 1-lane bridge just down the corner here. And, I did specialized work, and then, we started with mobile service stations, and then we had a big shop, and, we came out here in the county and just mom and pop. But I see, that folks are hungry for learning. Folks are hungry for the ideas. And just like Frank said, if he had known way back when all these different deals that he tried, and that's what a lot of guys do, is they reach out and they spend a ton of money, but they don't see the return on investment. And it's like, you don't have to spend a ton of money to have great return on investment, but you do need to track that. You do need to say, okay, the time or the money, whatever it is that I'm spending, is it worth it? Is it bringing back, the value? Yeah. And so people see value. One of the things that you heard Vinnie say was concierge service. And a lot of guys are saying, oh, right now during COVID, we have to pick up cars and we have to bring them back. And are we still going to be able to continue that after COVID ends? And it's like, we've been doing that for a long time. You got a couple schools around the corner here. And so we would go pick up teachers' cars. You have coaches. Coaches, they teach and then they do coaching all afternoon and evening. And those guys those guys and gals have no time at all to spend with their families, to spend at home. And so we would say, hey, your car's just sitting up there. Let us come pick it up. Let us service it. Let's take care of what you need. Mm-hmm. And that's one thing less that you don't have to do on the weekends. That's one thing less that you don't have to do, that you don't have to ask the wife to do. You don't have to worry about. And we're going to take care of that. That's just something that we have always done. And it's concierge service. And if you look at a lot of professional businesses, that's what a lot of them have gone to. And so it's like, okay, is that something that these other shops should have been offering a while back? Again, look at your demographics, look at your area, see what's around you, see what businesses. You may have a golf course around you, and these guys are out there playing golf with their cars just sitting there. It can be serviced. And so a lot of times it's like, okay, think outside the box and think, how can you help other folks and work on cars and get the cars in that your type of customer that you want. Then it's not like, oh, because you hear this all the time in the industry. Oh, I'm afraid to raise my rates. Oh, I'm going to lose business. And it's like, no, we're professionals. We spend a lot of money on tools, training, and equipment. And it's like, okay, let's get a return on investment on that.
Yeah.
And so, get that type of customer. If it's not your type of customer, send them down the road. There's other guys down there that'll take those, and they won't be in business a long time. Out here, we've been here 27 years, and we've seen all the other ones around us come and go. And there's 3 shops out here still here forever.
Yeah, well, you have one of the most unusual
Hey,
shops.
Jeff.
Yeah. Go ahead, Frank.
Yes, sir.
I got a Rolls Royce. Can I ship that one to you?
One of the things that I think was inherent in what
There's a shop in California that'll do that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Frank, someday I'll tell you the story about servicing Muhammad Ali's Rolls Royce. He lived in Philadelphia at the time, and I had one of my techs at the Fiat dealership of all places was friends of his, and he actually did that. That was an interesting story. I'll bring it up sometime. That was a while ago. Okay. But one of the things that Jeff was just talking about is really, you got to be creative about what you do. Vinnie, a lot of the stuff that you're doing shows an amazing amount of creativity. Jeff, you're always thinking outside the box. Frank, you as well. And I think that's an important lesson for all the shop owners out there. You don't have to be, superstars, but you got to think a little bit about what is different about my current situation. Yeah. And how am I going to take advantage of it? So, but for the most part, I think some of the stuff that we see we're doing that Jeff, you pointed out, we've been doing all along, things like concierge service, things like touchless customer service. Some of the things are probably going to be hanging around long after the crisis ends, simply because A, shops find that, you know what, it's a little bit more efficient to do things that way. B, the customers like it, mostly because the customers like it. But C, times like this is when change happens. Change happens in a big way. And times of crisis usually, as I said at the beginning of the program, brings out the best in us. It also tends to bring out the brightest of us. And I think that you three are great examples of individuals who have essentially taken, you were doing this long before we had the current crisis. You've adapted your skill set, you've adapted your programs, you've adapted your what you've always done to a new set of circumstances, and you've prospered. And I think that is a positive message that I think we need to share with the entire industry. You know, we have the capability and the creativity to be better and to take care of our customers in such a way that they're going to be our customers for life. And again, you three demonstrate that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Tony. You said it, you know, adaptation and opportunity. It's all there right now.
That's what it's all about. Well, gentlemen, this has been wonderful. I don't want to keep you guys all night long. I know you have things to do. Frank, you've got another appointment I know you got to get to. But before we go.
Doing a Zoom selfie.
There you go.
I'm doing a Zoom selfie.
Zoom selfie.
Yeah.
I like that. I think I'm going to do that.
You know, Frank.
Reach for the stars together.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. There you go.
Zoom selfie. Come on, let's get it going. So Tony, at ASA Corporate there in Texas, we need to get a wall because we got Zoomitis. But I'm saying get the Zoom pics on the wall because someday we'll look back at this. I hope Zoom goes away. I miss you people. I mean, it's going to be rough. And I just want to say to everyone listening that, you know, find ways to look out. The guy across the street, he may not be active in the industry, man. You know, go out there and just check on him. There's plenty of work for everybody. Because he may turn his boat around when he says, oh, wow, Jeff came by, or Vinny, or Frank, or Tony. That's what it's about, man. And, you know, and that's how we lift it up. Because when we're fat and heavy, you know, we're worried about our lane, you know. And I think Vinny says it, you know, amazingly. Like, look, at the end of the day, it's about spirit to your business. We're always going to go crazy over numbers. That's going to be there. So check on your neighbor. Yes. Yesterday, we fed our complex. I've been here 15 years. And I know some of these guys, the business is rough. And some of them I was not hanging with 10 years ago. But we just figured out a way to make peace. And you know what? Let's buy the barbecue, man. Because life is too short. And I think that spirit, that's important. That's the drive.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and you know what? You're taking care of your people as you said. Yeah. You know? So, but anyway, well, one of the things I wanted to, I had asked the group before we started was, I want to leave everyone with a positive message. And I had asked, there you go. Everyone to make a sign. So believe in yourself and your dreams. Your life is as good as your mindset, and character is who you are when no one is watching. And all of these things promote the positives. But more importantly, I think this group inspires joy. And I have to tell you, for what all of you do for the industry, for your communities, and as spokespeople, I know, Jeff, you're out there every day. Vinny, I've seen you, I think, more the past couple of weeks in various venues than I have in the last year. Frank, what can I say? The hard part is getting you off the air, I know. But other than that, we all see to. And Vinny, I love that monster shot, monster engines. There's nothing they won't tackle, folks. But any final positive words for the shop owners who are watching? What if you had one thing to say, one quote to say, what would it be? One of my favorites, I'll start us, was something, I don't know who said it, but you know, it's not about waiting out the storm. It's about learning how to dance in the rain. And I think that simple quote says a lot. Attitude is everything, Frank, to your point. But what sort of positive message would each of you like to leave with the industry after this? Frank, I'll start with you.
Yeah, you know, I've had this board up for a long time. It's one of my favorite quotes. I like to share it with the team. Is success is never final. Failure is never fatal. At the end of the day, man, it's about courage. And we're going to have good and bad. That's part of the mix. It's part of the deal. But let's show up. Let's show up and let's show up for our people. It's the courage that counts.
That's a great one. Jeff, what do you got to share?
Well, I really like this one, but you can talk about, with they're calling it the pandemic and all that right now, and it's a challenge. And, the deal I've always had is, though you walk through the valley of the shadow of the death, you got someone with you there. And so you just keep on, you persevere, and you do what you can, and you worry about what you can control, and don't worry about all the rest of it. And this is, the whole mantra of your business is, doing the right thing, even when someone's not watching. Even, it's like when we fix cars, people know we fix the cars right. They know we're using quality parts. It's just in the community, it's, you're going to do these things in the community, whether someone's watching you or not. You're not doing it to get your name out.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing it because it's the right thing to do. And it's not just what's the right thing to do right now. No, it's the right thing to do all the time. And so there's times when we have to stand up and, I don't get into a lot of politics. People come ask us our opinion, but, we don't. And it's like, just control what you can control.
Well, what you say is at the heart of ethics. And I think that's one of the hallmarks of all ASA members, and frankly, a great number of shop owners out there. Vinnie, I'll give you the last word. Any uplifting thoughts before we call it an evening?
Well, absolutely. The seas are rough out there. The wind is blowing, and you just got to hold on. But so this one's by Franklin D. Roosevelt, and it's calm seas never made a good sailor. So you need these rough seas. You need these hard times, and that's what makes you stronger in the end.
Well, I can't think of a better way to end the program. Gentlemen, thank you all so very much. I owe all of you big time. Vinnie Lucido, co-owner of Co-Auto LLC. By the way, say hello to Anthony for us in Reno, Nevada.
Yes.
Jeff Buckley, owner of my father's shop in Midlothian, Texas. Be sure to catch his Facebook Lives. He has some of the best customer training I think I've ever seen, and he does it pretty much every day from what I can tell. And last but not least, Frank Leutz.
Thank you, Tony.
Yeah, absolutely. Last but not least, Frank Leutz, owner of Desert Car Care in Chandler, Arizona. You can hear Frank on Wrench Nation. And you can absolutely see him on the local news and out and about in the industry. So, Frank, I want to thank you for your time.
Of course, thank you, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Tony, for putting this on.
Yep, gentlemen, I really appreciate it. We will have to do it again. But for now, stay well, stay safe. Have a great evening. And again, thank you for your time. Take care, everybody.